Yes, it's a wonderful edition of the Daybreak Show for Wednesday morning, and yet another edition of Citizens Forum. This morning, we'll be examining a part of Mr. President's October 1st Independence Anniversary speech, talking about President Muhammad Buhari's address to the nation on October 1st, the day we marked our 57th Independence Anniversary. Well, which part are we looking at in the speech? It is the part which addresses the agitations and, of course, the calls for secession, especially coming from the southeast part of the country. Well, I would be looking straight into what Mr. President said, actually quoting word for word in verbatim what Mr. President said, and of course we will be examining this with someone who can be tagged a leader in the southeast region. Before we unveil, we'll be talking to this morning. Let's go straight into the part of Mr. President's speech that addresses this topic. Mr. President said, and I quote, "Recent calls on restructuring, quite proper in a legitimate debate, has led some highly irresponsible groups to call for dismemberment of the country. We cannot and we will not allow such advocacy. As a young army officer, I took part from the beginning to the end in our tragic civil war, costing about 2 million lives, resulting in fearful destruction and untold suffering. Those who are agitating for a rerun were not born by 1967 and have no idea the horrendous consequences of the civil conflict which we went through. I am very disappointed that responsible leaders of these communities do not warn their hot-headed youth what the country went through. Those who were there should tell those who were not there the consequences of such folly. At all events, proper dialogue and any desired constitutional changes should take place in a rational manner at the national and state assemblies. These are the proper and legal fora for national debate, not some lopsided, undemocratic body with predetermined sets of objectives. Government is keeping up the momentum of dialogue with stakeholders in the Niger Delta to keep the pace. We intend to address genuine grievances of the communities. Government is grateful to the responsible leadership of those communities and will pursue lasting peace in the Niger Delta." Now, that's the end of quotes. This particular part of Mr. President's speech is talking about two regions, the Southeast region and the South-South region, knocking the leaders of the Southeast region, but giving kudos to the leaders of the South-South region for continuously reaching out and, of course, keeping the momentum of dialogue and peace that they have achieved in recent time in addressing the grievances of the stakeholders in the Niger Delta region. But talking about the Southeast, he's saying those who were there and witnessed the Civil War have been unable to either retell the stories, the very, very sad tales of the Civil War, the Biafran War, as some may call it, to those who are now agitating. Mr. President used the word hot-headed youth who are now calling for the dismemberment of the country. This is what we're looking at this morning. Aghemerio.
Of course, we've had different reactions greeting that a particular aspect of Mr. President's speech. We have different groups saying different things about that speech, and one of such people groups is we have Chief Mike Ozekume, who actually spoke against that particular aspect of the speech, and he said Buhari showed, that's President Buhari showed a fixated hatred for Igbos when he berated leaders of the region for allowing those feeling marginalized to agitate for the breakup of the feeling. And we also have another group. This one is called reacting, called the group called the Eastern Consultative Assembly (ECA), saying that the president has finally confirmed to all and sundry that he's light years behind global trends and far from the political reality of the Nigerian situation, and quite a number of of things said about that particular speech. But we should also look at history, what brought about, that agitation. The very first time talking about the Nigerian Civil War, what brought about it, why the Civil War in the first place, and if Mr. President said that those who experienced or who saw, who witnessed the Civil War should have been able to call the youth, the youth of my time, to order. Why would he have to say that? One. Then two, what actually brought about the Civil War in the first place? Who were the people involved? Can we really curb that now? The agitation is growing so strongly, and we cannot, hide from that, and we can't pretend like all is well. And gradually, I guess this agitation is taking a foothold even into our dear country. And if it is not taken, it's May. Okay, let me just leave it at it's May. It's May actually. Let's leave it at that.
All right, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be introducing our guest this morning on the show. Well, he won't be here in the studio. We'll be joining him live on his throne via phone. Stay with us. All right, like I promised earlier, we are now being joined live from his throne, and of course via the phone, the closest person to the late Dim Ojukwu, the then head of state of Biafra, alive. Well, we are talking of His Royal Highness Igwe Christopher Ejiofor, the Ngabikpo the Fourth of Oyofu Kingdom. Igwe, I hope I got that right.
You got that right.
All right, that's good. That saves me the fine of having to carry out some sacrifices to appease the gods. All right, Igwe, you are the closest person alive to the late Dim Ojukwu. A lot has been said about the man who started the realization or the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra. He's come, he's seen, he's conquered, he's lost at some point, and of course he's gone. Can you please tell us what actually started this agitation? Why did he try to call for secession from Nigeria?
Well, it's a complicated story, but in summary, the Nigerian system was ruled in regional areas, east, north, south, and west. But there was Midwest, in fact, not south. And the problem started with this, what they call coup of the July 29th, 1966, after the first coup, which was the young officers of the Nigerian army carry out the first coup. Now, and the problem a lot of people in Nigeria don't understand is that that very first coup wasn't an Igbo-plotted coup. It was, most of them were young officers of the Nigerian army from all tribes. And the Hausas were assigned to kill their politicians, the Yorubas to kill their politicians, the Igbos to kill their politicians. And this was how the thing was organized. Well, I happened to be in the army at the time, but I was not involved. I attended military school at Zaria, which was one of the best schools and foundation schools for bringing young Nigerians together to rule this country. But unfortunately, the July the 29th coup was totally bad, very bad coup. And that coup really focused on destroying the Igbos. Now, we don't understand why that was the case, because we all took part in arresting all the people who took part in the first coup. And we were all comrades in the same barracks, sitting, doing things. And I was actually under Muritali Mohammed in Lagos. Now, and overnight, they decided to start killing the Igbos only. Targeting the Igbos and killing all the Igbo officers and things like that. And that really was a shocker, because 1 minute you're sitting with your friend, you and I, we were the ones who arrested all the bad people, and we were all together, how we're going to get the country back together. The next morning, you are being threatened to be killed. So we had to escape. Now, after having done that, that's number one. A lot of people don't understand, but what it was really was that because the Aghemerio was the head of state, he was an Igbo person, and they wanted to overthrow him. The real thing was that the northern Nigerian section wanted to secede from Nigeria. Now, a lot of people don't understand this. That was what happened. They really wanted to secede from Nigeria. So they said, get rid of the people at the top. Also, anybody in our way, we'll get rid of them. And we're going to cut this country into three. The northerners go, the easterners go, and the westerners go. That's why they killed Colonel Paji, who was receiving Ojukwu, because he refused to allow them to kill him. Now, when they did this coup, the idea was therefore that the north would go its way, the south goes its way, and all the rest of it. Unfortunately for us, the British people and the Americans gave advice to them, and they said, if you do this, you're going to lose economically, And in the middle of all that, before this happened, they had now, Muritala Muhammad, who was my commander in Lagos, had given an issue order telling everybody to return back to their home of origin, all the soldiers. So we had to go back, run away from Lagos, because I was actually in Ojukwu. I lived in Ojukwu myself. And we had to escape, without people noticing who we are, to the east. And so if anybody talks about triggering Biafra, it was Muritala Muhammad who actually split the army and told people to go back to their homes of origin. Now, when we go back to our homes of origin, Ojukwu was the head of state, was governor, of Eastern region. Now, and the problem that started was that the Northerners were still clamoring before that July coup to come to some big cities. They said, Araba, they were killing people. Lots of people died in May massacres before the July one, and there were mainly evil people in the north. And I was born in Zaria myself, and we had properties in the north and everything. We were very close friends with some Northerners who were very good to us. Now, do you know that today I've never ever been back to the north, because that killing totally divided Nigeria into two. Alright? And then a lot of people fled and came back to the south. And after the governors met, Ojukwu was told, everything's alright. Tell your people to go back. Let them go back to the north. And everybody went back to the north. Now, unfortunately, it didn't stop there. July, they started kill more Igbos. August, September, massacres coming. So, and Ojukwu was being blamed by the Biafrans, or the people of Biafran land, that he caused the death of thousands of people, telling them to go back to the north. And now Ojukwu was in trouble, because he had now to know what he got to do. They had to do this Abuja conference to see whether they can find a way of bringing order and keeping Nigeria one as a country. And unfortunately, they did all that in Ghana. Everything worked out, the centralized power and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, the central government, the one and his people who were being advised by the expatriates from the Western power, said, this won't work. You'll lose more power, and they refused to accept all those terms. Now, you can imagine Ojukwu now, his back was right on the wall. And there was nothing he could do, because first he was facing anger from the people of the Igbo land, because he had sent them to die in the north, and every family in Igbo land had lost a person. So when people tell you, say, oh, nobody wants this war, they were the ones who started it. So Ojukwu had no choice. He had no option than to say, okay, what do people want? And the people met and said, we want our own nation. So that's how it happened.
All right, now, Igwe Ejiofor. Now, the story has been told many times about how late Chukwuemeka Ojukwu turned deaf ears to prominent and eminent Igbo leaders to throw in the towel after the war began. because it became apparent that it was a war you could not win. You served the late Ojukwu as the ADC, the Aide-de-camp, to the then head of state of Biafra. 2 million plus of Igbos and people died in that particular war. Eventually, Lady Ojukwu fled Biafra land, so to say, to Cote d'Ivoire. Why exactly did he refuse to listen to the voice of reason then, which led to the loss of so many lives, and eventually he fled to Cote d'Ivoire?
Well, that's what people say, isn't it? They say he fled, but I was there right to the end, and I know what happened.
So tell us.
Because I was with him at Owerri when the whole war, because when people don't understand Biafra, they don't know the intricacies of what happened there. And I saw thousands and thousands of children die of starvation. And I was with these children, and I for one, I had an assignment to work at the Biafran airport, and I used to lift. We had to make sure the children were lifted. Now, when the decision was taken for Ojukwu to leave the country, it was either Ojukwu stays because he didn't want to go, and he wanted to stay. And the thing was that if he stayed, it will make the Nigerian army continue to fight and inflict losses, which will be terrible, because at the time, if you don't understand, the Biafrans had no weapons, were tattered. It was a rag army. There were no uniforms, there was nothing. People were dying of starvation. Thousands and thousands of people had died. And so there was a clamor internally in Biafra. They had enough. People had enough. And it's either Ojukwu stays on and more people will be killed and destroyed, or let him go and see if he can find some way of settling this issue. And if there is no way, then the people can surrender. But he himself was determined he wasn't going to give up. And I knew when when the military tribunal council met and discussed and told him that he must go. And if he didn't go, that means that when more people would die unnecessarily than the rest of it. So reluctantly, he left. Now I didn't go with him because I was his ADC, but I never left with him. Now let me tell you what happened when he left. After Ojukwu left, people were angry. The Biafrans were angry because they had suffered so much. They captured me. I was captured by the Biafrans and locked up within a case because they said they had suffered so much, and having suffered that extent, why should we allow ourselves to go back to Nigeria? So they were so angry. So another thing said, Ojukwu fled, he never fled that way, not the way people are talking about, no. And there was so much anger internally. And at the end of the day, FM took over, and this was on my way to go to reporting to FM, and Biafran troops captured me and said to me I wasn't going anywhere and locked me up in a pit, and I was to be handed over to the federal forces and the rest of it. But by God's grace, it didn't happen. I was able to get out of their hands through somebody else who saw them trying to do that. So I think let's be clear about it. Ojukwu never fled, and he never surrendered. He would not surrender. And that's the point I think you need to
All right, he never surrendered and he will never surrender. But then let's bring it back to the present time, because we have this agitation coming up again, and we have some Igbos calling for secession, and they just want the Biafran state. How would you, what's your reaction to that? Oh no.
Alright, let's go to short break. We'll try to re-establish connection with Igwe Christopher Ejiofor. Stay with us. Alright, we have His Royal Highness Igwe Christopher Ejiofor, the Ngabekpo IV of Oyofo Kingdom in Enugu State. He was the aide-de-camp, ADC, to the then head of state of Biafra, the late Dim Odumigu Chukwuemeka Ojukwu. Igwe, yeah, you're welcome back. Yeah, my partner and my partner was asking a question earlier before the line went dead, and she was talking about what exactly is your opinion about this resurgence of the agitation, even long after the lady Ojukwu granted an interview and said he regretted fighting that war, and Nigeria should do everything within her powers to keep the country and her people one. What do you have to say about this new agitation led by the Nnamdi Kanu-led IPOB?
Yes, I think anybody who has actually been part of the war, the Biafran-Nigerian war, would understand why. Because at the end of the war, the Biafrans had nothing to hold on to in Nigeria. We had lost our civil servants' work, we lost our positions of management, we lost our position in the Air Force, Navy. All the civil service works, the railways had gone, and we had nothing left in Nigeria. So most of these people went into exile. They left and they traveled abroad. They lived a lot of them. A lot of them got children there. And when the children grew up in foreign lands, right, they hear about their own country. And when they come back to visit their country, what they see is gospel. Because obviously, abroad, when they grew up and everything, they see that things are working, railways are running, roads are good, and the water system running, electricity running. When they come back home, 50 years or call it 40-something years after the war, nothing is working. The place is being run by mafia gang of politicians who actually hold the power, they hold the reign of power, and they have not allowed the common people to get what their basic amenities are. And so the people become frustrated. The youngsters who challenge their parents and saying to them, we can't accept this. And if you look at it, you see that the political system in Nigeria today is such that people in the East here, as I'm saying, part of the politicians have a problem. It's not even, we're not talking about federal, because if they're sitting, we had a coal mine that was working in Enugu here many years before the war. Today, no coal mine works. Where people used to be employed, nobody's been employed. We used to have a Calabar cement factory. That is dead, closed down. We had a Ojukwu power station. That is closed down. And we have many other structures where people were earning a living. Now, when you don't have anything like that working, and all you have is kangaroo politicians who are actually members of clubs, they are members of clubs who are holding the country to ransom. And some of them are not educated, so they have no qualifications. It's who you know within the party, and then how many years they served, they give you positions. You have no knowledge whatsoever. Now, I studied aeronautical engineering in the United Kingdom, and I served in the United Kingdom for many years as an aeronautical engineer. When I came back here, I went to the governor, told him what I could bring back to the country, and set up an aviation business here. They all welcomed very good, very good, very good. But when it came to actualizing it, nothing happened. They all waiting for me to do whatever I cannot do. And that is precisely what these officers, when they come back, they're finding them within the structure internally before you go to the federal. And when you get to the federal level, you see the appointments and all the things that are happening, especially within the period of time we're living, the eastern section has been totally marginalized, to be honest with you. And you need to see that and to understand why. Because when you come back from an exile, from country abroad, I say, diaspora, you come back to your country and nothing is working, you feel angry. So these youngsters are right. But I said to them, when I met up with them, I said, listen, the way is not to go about asking for Biafra as a separate entity. The way to go about it is to actually get our governance to be accountable, get our people to be accountable, let the roads work, let our industry start working, let all the things, the structures that are not working, start working, and they are the first to be held accountable. And then when we are able to sort all these things out, we can, of course, if they tell us it's not their fault and how we're going to do this, and how we're going to resolve it, then we'll go to the higher level, So, but at the moment, I think they have felt that they're not being heard, nobody's hearing it at the local level. So they have to go to the higher level and say to the Nigerian government, we don't want you people because you have kicked us out of the country, you don't want us back. So that's how I understand one single person, not from a Imo State. Yet they knew that I was key when Ojukwu was being buried, and I was the person who spoke up on behalf of everything that happened in Biafra. And yet, with all this crisis, not a single government office has ever called me and said to me, what can we do about this? As somebody who was close to the former system. So you can understand what the frustrations are. And yes, the Carlo and his people, they need to go back to learn diplomacy, learn how to talk to people, learn how to negotiate, learn how to, ask for things and know the timing to ask for something. So that's what I think. I think we need to talk to the youngsters, make them see things differently, and negotiate with them and reassure them that we're going to solve the problems that are in the country. If it's going to be by restructuring or whatever it's going to do to make them have part of the cake of the day to be able to make things better, then we'll do it. And that's, for me, that's what I think we should do.
Okay, now you've quickly touched on the aspect of Mr. President's Independence Anniversary speech that we are examining this morning on the show. He actually expressed his disappointment that responsible leaders in the Southeast have not warned this hot-headed youth, according to him, of what the Civil War was like and the consequences of walking or rushing down that same path. Now, would you say that leaders like you, apart from your role in that war, your closeness to the late Ojukwu, and now that you're a traditional ruler, would you agree with Mr. President that you're not doing enough in educating many of these youth like Nnamdi Kanu?
Well, remember that there is political setup in this country. You have state government, the federal, the state, and then the local government level. We, the Igwes, we are actually a council of traditional rulers. Now, the power has not been given to us to determine political agendas. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now, but the politicians have the right to invite us and say to us, select one or two of us and say to us, would you be part of this type of thing? And so that we can discuss this and that. I will willingly go, but I cannot voluntarily, as Igwe, tell the government or tell my governor that this is what he has to do, because the initiative has to come from them to us. Alright? Now, from my local point of view, yes, I have done my bit by advising people, the young stars who say they belong to this and they belong to that, and they're stating for Biafra, and I say to them, look, sit down, listen, this is not the way to go about it, this and that and that. But I think at that higher level you're talking about, it is for the governors and people who, some of them are empowered, they should know what to call. They should be able to. I know there are a few people who have the experience who are still alive from the war. And none of us has ever been consulted to help solve the problem. And that takes me to another point. Another time in Nigeria, people are given positions without knowledge. They take that position of authority. They have no knowledge in previous on how to govern. They have no masters in leadership. They have no knowledge of how to lead people. All these things are things which, from education, you know your responsibility. There's no accountability, and nobody is held responsible for anything that's gone wrong. So basically, it's not down to us, the Igwes, to do this type of work. It's actually the government tier systems to call us to a meeting and say to me, I mean, they may have used people like the head of the Traditional Rulers Council in Enugu State, but is he the right person to use? Because he may have been a politician and been an ambassador or something, but he wasn't involved in the war, so why the other state?
Quickly, would you agree with the Minister of Information and Culture, Alajala Mohammed, who alleged that the sponsors of Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB are disgruntled elements, politicians who lost out of power, and of course are looters who are actually trying to derail the anti-corruption war of the present administration?
Well, I mean, making such a wild statement, you need proof. You don't say wild things like that tell the young person you're right. But you don't just lay open blame on people without evidence. So if he has evidence for what he's saying, bring the evidence and give examples of this. But don't make wild statements that may not be properly accounted for. This is a very delicate situation we're in right now. People who are in authority should be well qualified diplomatically to handle the position. If you're Minister of Information, then you should be a diplomat. And when you use words, you be careful what words you use. And then quantify your words with action and give examples of what and what and what. Nigerian, I'm not aware who is giving that, but all I can say to you is that the anger, and I repeat this to you once again, the anger people have had for what has happened, and coming back to a place and saying discontent politicians when they cannot have jobs, they have no working, they have always things that basic to humanity is not there. Why are you calling politicians who are not involved in actually running the day-to-day system as the people sponsoring them?
Igwe,
I don't know, I can't see that.
Okay, Igwe, I don't know whether someone has whispered to your ears the whereabouts of Nnamdi Kanu. Do you know where he is at the moment?
No, I have no idea. I have no connection with that group.
Some have said he's fled to the UK. Have you also heard? Do you have facts?
I have no knowledge. I have no idea. I mean, all rumors are not something to be taken.
All right. Before the disappearance of Nnamdi Kanu, the military moved in and invaded his community. Some have slammed the Nigerian army, and of course, for using force, and of course, the proscription of IPOB by the Southeast state governors, and the declaration or the name tag given to IPOB using the word or the phrase terrorist organization. How do you react to all this? Can military solution put an end to this agitation?
Well, first of all, I was very angry when I heard of this Operation Python 2 because I said, first of all, in the Southeast here, no bombing. Terrorists are people who start, going to bomb stations, bombing this, making sort of killing innocent people, taking over things and taking over that. Nothing like that. This is only what we call civil disobedience. Is what I've known that Kanu and his group have been doing, telling people don't vote, don't do this, don't do that, and on this thing, don't let nobody go out and all the rest of it. Civil disobedience is not something that you come and say tag people as terrorists. I watched some of the video clips after the Operation Python people moved into that area, and really what I saw was terrible. I saw the youngsters being stripped of their clothes, being beaten, and being thrown to go into a river. And they all was told to face down on this river, and anybody who runs up. And I don't know how the military can actually do something like that. Fortunately, somebody got it on video. And the thing, I made my statement to my local press telling them, I feel this is the bully boys tactics. The army is designed to protect the nation. We were not here to actually cause provocation. And if you start going with army, you're actually undermining the quality of that army. I joined the Nigerian army in 1960. We are the people who founded the Nigerian army. And we were supposed to be the lead. Unfortunately, we were not recognized. Power took over and made spoiled everything. But the army that I joined, Nigerian army that I joined, was not army designed to stir up people. And if anything happens and you hear of IPOB people now fleeing or doing anything, then it is actually the armies moving into there that is responsible for it. Now, tagging them as a terrorist organization, what evidence have you got for that? There's no evidence whatsoever. Not ever been fighting in the Southeast yet. Everybody goes about their business. But if you go to Abuja, you go to Oru, you go to places like that, everybody's fighting, you be careful, we go to churches where nobody has ever bought anywhere. So how can you tag somebody terrorist organization?
All right.
What power have you got to do that? That totally is absurd.
Okay. Igwe Christopher Ejiofor, in 10 seconds, do you believe in one Nigeria?
Of course, yes. I believe that it is within that bigger structure that we are stronger as a people. I believe that within it we can correct and sort things out, but we need to make sure that we have a system where we restructure the country to get everything working in the right direction.
All right, thank you very much, Your Royal Highness, Igwe Christopher Ejiofor, for talking to us this morning. Have a wonderful day.
And you too.
Yes. All right, that's it. We have to run for the national news. We'll be back. Well, it depends on which side you stand to see this beautiful scenery. But on this side, on the side of Rock City FM, what we are seeing this morning is a beautiful side. I hope that everywhere, every part of this country will continue to see this beautiful side and beautiful part of Nigeria. You're welcome once again to Citizens Forum on the Daybreak Show this beautiful Wednesday morning, the midweek edition of the show. Earlier on, we had His Royal Highness Igwe Christopher Ejiofor, the Ngamiko IV of Oyofo Kingdom in Enugu State. He was the Aide-de-camp ADC to the then head of state of Biafra, the late Odomegu Chukwuemeka Ojukwu. He said a lot of things. He spoke highly of the late Ojukwu, and of course the rationale behind the secession, and of course what led to the Civil War, the Biafran War, and of course what actually happened during that time, during that period, before the eventual surrender of Effiong and other top officers of the Biafran government or army. Well, one good thing that he has said, and which of course Nigerians should continue to hold on to, is the fact that he believes in one Nigeria. But no matter how structurally flawed that Nigeria is right now, the only way forward is for us to sit down together, dialogue. Let's judge rather than war, and find the most acceptable structure and type of government for every one of us, so that we can actually live together in peace and unity. It's time for you to be part of the show. If you want to do this, you can do that in so many different ways. You have the social media, the short code, and of course the numbers.
Alright, for the short code, all you need to do is type rock ROCK, leave a space. Let's have your opinion and your thoughts typed, include your name, send it to 32120. Hello.
Hello, good morning, my sister. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Tobi. I'm just in the house, the King Ejiofor. I've listened to you wholeheartedly. You have spoken well. Sir, I want to ask my guest, do you know the age of this man?
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes, we do not have the guest in the studio. We joined him only via the phone.
It's okay, no
So
problem.
you may have to address us.
The age of this man was already my need when the Biafra war came into being. We did not witness the last Biafra war, 1967 to 1970. I was in primary school by then. When you go to school, you come back home, will be a threat to you because you'll be firing bomb here and there. It is one of the Bible says, every go back to the money, I want peace of this country, and people that are very important should be wrong, so that we don't experience Biafra war in this country again. That's my take this morning. God bless Nigeria. God bless Rock City. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes. My name is Candy Swagger.
Thank you for calling.
I'm in Adequate presently.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you, sir. I listened very well to Igwe Christopher Ejiofor, the ADC in December.
Yes.
Was very enlightening and very educated. I discovered the oneness of Nigeria is not negotiable, according to his statement. And the Ikemba and himself and other well-meaning.
Hello.
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 Yes.
They maintain the fact. The thing is, whatever the excellency the president said during the independence anniversary is still not contentious. I think the leaders of the Igbo or the Southeasterners should go back and take that word as advice and caution their youth that they will not be involved in riots like that, engage in secession beats. Because it's not the usual riots for fuel price hike or whatever. We're talking about Nigeria here. And Nigeria has a project. Everybody should be out to protect it. Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you very
you.
much. Candy Sugar.
Hello. Hello.
Good morning to you.
Good
Yes,
morning.
Good morning.
I am Mr. Olakilani, calling from Aide-de-camp.
Thank you.
Are you with me?
Yes, we are.
You see, it's the present situation. I'm asking the federal government to handle this present situation with maturity, with meaningful dialogue, and not hypocritical one. This situation will not lead to any civil war if it is maturely handled. Because for now, I think the federal government is only seeing things from the surface, on the surface, and not going deep into the history of the past. I am saying now that I don't believe in repaying fire for fire. Now, the effort has taken the federal government to the United Nations. And the United Nations will critically study the situation. And even go into the United, will even go into the United Nations Charter before it has final say. I believe the federal government will not be charged for genocide. Because the present situation as it is now requires maturity, a meaningful dialogue, and not apoplectic one. It is the right authority that should invite these people for dialogue, not dialogue from a community leader or national assembly, but by the federal government. I know because certain leaders in the country, especially from the southwest, initially agreed that if south should go south, west should go west. He agreed with secession. But at a certain point, he turned around because he was given a special appointment by the military government then. Let us look at this situation. And even Kanu himself is ready for an amicable solution as pronounced by him at a particular time. Because we see that the situation is over. It is not over. Probably they are trying to gather themselves together, but for the future. And there continue to be agitation as long as the federal government is not sincere. And Muhammad Buhari's pronouncement during the independence address will only eat up the fight. It will not settle it. So federal government should have a repent on how it resolves the issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your contribution.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
My name is Emeka from Adola Way.
Thank you for calling.
Aghemerio, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Mr. Tobi,
Yes, good morning.
Oluwa Tobi.
Good morning.
I'm only thinking for both me and you, that is the masses. It's not for the riches. They know where how to go about their lives. I know they will flee out of the country. I want you to understand what is happening in Nigeria. It's only the big men that have Nigeria. First and foremost, IPOP was labeled as a terrorist group. Every Igbo man is an IPOP. I agitating to be an IPOP member. And I will be among those terrorist men because if they capture me tomorrow, probably I'm going somewhere with money to go and work somewhere. I use it for terrorists. They can convince me for that. And there's no small lie I can use clothes to cover, but it can escalate. for what to talk the matter dialogue. Not any other thing. I don't bother who rules. But you should do things according to. It's only about I want to get people to understand them. But some Yorubas are suffering under. Hausas are suffering under. Nigeria, they should restructure Nigeria to put it on normal. Masses are suffering. Big Daddy speak. Have a nice day.
All right, you too. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Dele and my sister, how are you?
All right, this is Tobi and Aghemerio. Thank you. We're fine.
Okay, Tobi, Aghemerio. Okay, my name is Honorable Richard Gilarije. I'm calling from the People's Parliament. I want to believe Mr. President's speech is not all that very bad, but one would have expected Mr. President to as well of other issues like, the H9 Fulani extent. He never touched it, very disturbing. He needs to say something about that, not only IPOB alone. Then we have said it, that Mr. President should try and, talk to these people, give them a roundtable conference. Nigeria belongs to all of us. There's going to be continuous agitation if we don't try to develop power to the state, we don't try to restructure Nigeria. That's what we're saying. Simple as anything. These are the big the National Assembly that's going to discuss it. We keep them what they're going to discuss on. Then they do it to our satisfaction. Good morning, have a pleasant day. God bless you. God bless you.
God bless you too.
Morning, Dele and Tobi. Good morning, Aghemerio.
Good morning.
My name is Dr. Nkam from Ashero. I listened to the ADC and he spoke so well. Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you clearly.
Yes, these are the people I believe should lead Oaikhenan, not the money misroad type. That's number one. Number two is that he spoke what some of us have been saying. This is a storm in a teacup. Aghemerio made a statement that something, let me not say it. Aghemerio, nothing will happen. We are not fighting any war. Have you noticed that after leaving the studio, if you go to the street, people are talking about, like the country is still committing elected. He said all those revolution, this thing. It's a elitist thing. The women in there selling their goods in a Kuto market, they are not interested in all those things, no? And they are the food soldiers. We are not fighting. We are just talking, what will finish, you go back. No war. Nobody is being marginalized, and nobody has been marginalized. The Igbos should go back. As a man said, and use diplomacy. You can't rule this country alone. The Igbos alone cannot vote for you to become president. The Yorubas cannot vote for you alone. Like the Yorubas have done. They now courted everybody, and everybody votes for their candidate. So also they should do. If they want to rule this country, with the heart right anyway, that's not the way to do it. So then you block the road to destroy the economy, you kill your youth. Yoruba youth are walking about, people youth are in prison, there's python dancing all over the place in the place. Everywhere there's no python dancing, you are devaluing yourself. Nobody takes you serious again. United Nations cannot come and stop for us. United Nations have never stopped Israel from killing Palestinians. So the United Nations is a two-legged bulldog. Forget about United Nations. In fact, nobody should even to them. Go back, look at their situation, and use your intelligence. People like this Igwe are people who are talking for the Igbos, not the money misuse. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Ola Anima Shaun is the name, calling from Abeokuta. I want to appreciate your resource person. He is no longer in the studio. I followed his narratives quite gently, and he made quite beautiful submission. Am I still on here?
Yes, you are.
But there is an aspect at the initial stage in the course of his historical narrative that I feel quite comfortable with. I might have missed out something, possibly along the line. While he was referring to the wiping out of the Igbo officers, I think perhaps he missed out the fact that, and that fact is constant in the historical records of Nigeria. Permit me, if I'm drawing the hand of the clock backward, that Irosi launched the first attack, and tactically, I use the word tactically in quotes, wiped out most northern elite in the military before the reprisal attack from the northern elite military. I might be wrong, but my apologies if I'm stepping on toes. That aspect, I think, should not be rewritten. He tactically speaks. So it wasn't that somebody did something false against them. If we should use the word them, my apologies. explain. The leadership has said that the president said in his speech, which he has also tried to defend. But the aspect of he's an Igwe, and we have a template in the Southwest, for instance, in Ogun State, for instance. When there are crises, the traditional council in Ogun State is always upbeat. They will come to and make recommendations to the government and make appeals. But in this instance, I see a kind of omission. He said the government has not consulted or contacted him, because we have to look at the implications of whatever he says. That's why the fact that he made very beautiful submission. He said the government over there has not contacted him. So I see a kind of arrogance of where were you guys when we were fighting the Biafra war? You should be consulting us. But he's an Igwe. They should have a consult of Igwe that will make recommendations to the government, particularly in times of crisis. We've got to tell ourselves the bitter truth. That aspect, I expect them as leadership, the traditional leadership. He was even a military leadership. So do something in earnest whenever there are crises. Don't wait for the government to approach the traditional tools. Reach out, because there are crises. The government may be scrambling for whatever way out. Please, all traditional rulers should just learn from this. Reach out to government. Don't wait for government to reach out to you. You never know which way it's going to be. And I want to appreciate him conclusively for his beautiful submission. Those are just my own point of view. I might be wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Aide-de-camp. I'm speaking from Nigeria.
Well, know your number. I will thank you for calling.
I have listened to your resource person and some of your contributors. But what is very important is that we must excuse sentiment and emotions, and of course set aright our history. All what happened post 1960, first coup, the second coup, and what have you, we must set the record straight. It is a fundamental right for a group to pursue self-determination. But we must do it within the ambit of the law. If you say you want to break away from the country, there's a legal process by which you do it. You don't set up secret service, you don't set up radio stations, you don't threaten to burn Nigeria down and things like that. No responsible government. I say no responsible government in power will tolerate that. So the way out, in my own view, is we suggested by the President Buhari. Let people go through their representative. No part of this country does not have a representative in the National Assembly. Let them pass the thing. Let them, if it is possible, propose amendment to the Constitution via a bill. It is not for the executive to send a bill to the National Assembly for some people to break out of this country. Let us do this thing within the ambit of the existing law. It's very, very simple. All these things are talking about resources. We just need to amend certain aspects of our constitution in terms of what are the powers of the federal, what are the powers of the state, then what is the type of government we need. We need from presidential to parliamentary, and just amendment of the constitution will do the magic. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hello.
Morning, all of you.
Good morning to our guest. Hello?
Yeah, we don't have a guest in the studio. Maybe you join us late.
Okay. My contribution about this issue. I think at times, to me, it looks very, very unfair to label all Igbos as members of IPOP. So many times we see that kind of thing. And even in the East, where this IPOP is, there are many people which I know are not members of this IPOP. And to some of us, we have been an advocate of restructuring, giving a free playing ground to every citizen of this country. know that after that civil war offensive, we failed to learn. Some of us who travel outside these countries, after the Rwanda genocide offensive, there are serious amendment that was done that gives everybody a level playing ground. There is no more second-class citizen in that country anymore, which we failed to do in this, our beloved country called Nigeria. I think it's time we do the needful. It's time we don't allow our leaders to keep on dividing us for their own personal benefits or interests. I think even in China, there are many languages, there are many tribes, but it's not pronounced. But here in this part of this country, they keep on using religion, they keep on using tribal to divide us in this part of the country. I think it's the right time we say no to all this. Thank you, and God bless me.
All right, thank you very much. We'll just tarry a while. Oh, we have a call already. We need to this, and of course the tweets. All right, this one says, Tobi, please, where and how did the 3 R's promised to the Igbos by the federal government of Nigeria after the war happen? The federal government of Nigeria and Nigerians should stop threatening the Igbos with war. Adewale sent in that message. This one says, Araba in Hausa means let's separate. It was a slogan in the north by the Hausas in 1966. As a very young Yoruba boy, I escaped by the whiskers as I alighted from the train coming from Kano, where I had gone to my father who worked for railways. Clubs and machetes were used on Igbos and were killed. Would it be wrong to allege that the North started this separatist agenda? That's Coyote asking that question from Rwanda. This one says, doubting sincerity of Igwe and his submissions. 1. That youth agitation due to unemployment, lack of infrastructure and other amenities, which region is not excluded? Should all regions go for secession? Why can't they take up their governors up for that? 2. That governments of the region didn't invite them to provide solutions, for they don't have political power. Does traditional rulers need to wait for government before cancelling the errant people in their domain? Ade is asking these questions. In fact, OBJ's advice to PMB to engage Kano in dialogue is unbelievable. I'm sure he won't do that if it happened in his time. He would have grinded all of them to ashes. Federal government dialoguing with secessionists is an abomination amounting to government not in full control. Yes, government can dialogue with stakeholders and traditional rulers in the areas and not Kano. Why can't Kano come out during OBJ's 8 years rule? Who born monkey? They will have been forgotten by now. Okay, that's our day submissions. With several disclosures by the Igwe, I believe sincerely that Nigeria will never wish to witness such a gory and an unpleasant scenario again. With mutual rapport, I believe we can excel and achieve tremendously in all ramifications. God bless Nigeria. That's Cosmos from Goshen Estate. IK from Ifo says that it's so sad the Nigerian government is trying to pull Indigo out of the country through marginalization. In fact, no Igbo man sees PMB as his or her president. Alright, and this one says PMB's independence message is perfect. Fanekade and Co. and Igbos criticizing PMB's message is political with no sincerity. What is wrong in President advising the leaders of the areas to call their errant youths to order? He directed his speech to Eastern leaders because that is where the problem is coming presently. Responsible stakeholders and traditional rulers of any area should not wait for government to invite them before cautioning troublemakers in their region. And they sent in that.
Quickly running through the tweets we got here. We got this from Yemi Da Vinci reacting to the tweet we had here. The Biafra army was a ragtag army with no weapons and starvation was abound. Okay, what some of the words Igwe Christopher Ejiofor dropped on the program. Yemi Da Vinci reacted saying, and these are the submissions of some of us. Don't start a war you can't win based on ego, and other people will bear the brunt. I'm still coming from Yemi Da Vinci. I must disagree with Alagba Oaikhenan's submission that a Yoruba leader agreed to secede if Biafra was declared. Fact matter. Still coming from Yemi Da Vinci, the Yoruba leader who met with Dim Ojukwu on eve of Biafra war told him Yoruba people had no military leader to defend us, so no So no. But there is the truth of the matter. In Nigeria today, there are only two tribes, rich and poor people. Okay, still coming from the Yemi Da Vinci, we poor people should band together or bind together no matter our origins and demand restructuring from this imperial elite. We still got this one from Yemi Da Vinci. Anyone sincere or any sincere person would admit that Igbos are marginalized, but the way to seek redress is neither IPOB or dancing pythons. And we got this tweet again from Yemi Da Vinci. It is a shame that Nigeria educational system hates history and only few youth go out of the curriculum to learn. It is a shame that with the erudite philosopher kings like Igwe Ejiofor, many health-educated people are leading national discourse. And we got this one still from Yemi Da Vinci. Tagging IPOB, a terrorist organization, may trigger aid to actually becoming one and making others join them. Federal government should be careful. All right, those are the tweets here.
All right, I guess we're just wrapping up with just one call. And now we're all on the show this morning. Hello. Hello, good morning.
So who's going to be the last caller on Citizens Forum this morning? 0809-868-7344 or 0909-146-9670. Hello. No.
Alright, let's just wrap up with these two messages. This one from IK says, what do you expect to happen in a country where the leaders fail to carry everybody along? Igwe's submissions was quite revealing and educative. His type is needed to fill the gap. I pray he uses his good office to reach out to the government. The Ramusho sent in that message.
All right, we got this call now. Hello. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good
Yes,
morning.
good morning.
This is Wally from Nigeria.
All right, Wally.
The issue of agitation, giving people what their rights belong to, what they are, whatever, to be solved. It is of no interest of anybody to fight. And now the street fight we always have. We know what happens when there is a street fight. Not to mention a civil one. We do not want they let them do anything they want. You think whoever is do whatever is do of, and let there be peace. Some of us are interrelated in marriage. Some of us are interrelated in business. How do we see that this time? It is going to be a very difficult one. Let me see that thing and look all the money that they are investing and use it to do something for Nigeria. That's my question.
All right, thank you. Okay, that is how much we will be able to take on Citizens Forum this morning. We thank you all for being part of today's edition of the program, Citizens Forum, which is the midweek edition. Okay, a great time. Thanks to also a resource person. I'm talking about Igwe Christopher Ejiofor for his wonderful submission on the program today. I am Aghemerio Oaikhenan. Join the crew again tomorrow.
And I want to appreciate every one of you who tweeted, those who sent contributions as messages, and those who called. And of course, those who just sat down wherever they are patiently and enjoyed the show. Join us again tomorrow. I am Tobi Joseph. Have a wonderful day.